Violence and active shooter incidents. Today, we're going to be talking about how we can use fitness to reduce workplace violence, which is something people probably don't think much about. Today, my guest is the one, the only Coach Craig Hopson. He's an integrative health coach and the owner of F45 Coral Springs. Welcome, Craig.
Thank you
You're
so
in my
much.
house now.
Appreciate you, man. I'm a little nervous now. I'm in your house.
So everyone knows I actually work out at his gym. It's how I met him, and his smiling face has always been the thing that I always try to scowl at him at, just because he's always smiling. Great place, but great energies. He's a wealth of knowledge when it comes to all this. But I'll let him kind of go in a little bit. Why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself and
Sure.
what you do?
So again, Craig Hopson. I am an integrative health coach as well as the owner and operator of F45 Coral Springs West. We've been in existence for 4 years as F45, and before that, I was doing my own thing as far as personal training, group training, and one-on-one personal training. And we moved into F45, like I said, 4 years ago, and we have a great community that we focus a little more on just fitness. We focus on mental health as well as everyday things to help reduce stress, nutrition, and as well as fitness.
Yeah, they're still trying to work on the mental health with me a little bit. They haven't figured that out yet. No, it's funny because I've worked out a lot of different places. And I've always advocate go to where you feel comfortable, where you feel at home at, where there's positivity. Because the truth is, especially when it comes to working out, I'll be honest, most people don't want to do it. And you're like, I got to go work. You just make yourself do the thing you don't want to do. And going somewhere when you're feeling like not really into it, and you get there and the environment's great, you're right in it. You're so glad you came and you did it. Especially when you're done with the workout, you feel much better. So that was a real selling point for me was the atmosphere. So he's definitely, Craig, you built a good place right now. I'll tell you.
I appreciate it. Yeah, thank
Again, he's surprised right now because I'm giving him compliments. And typically,
you. I'm taking it all in.
sadly, this will be recorded forever. So what I want to talk about is, right now, and it's funny because this whole quiet quitting thing is just popping up over the last, let's say, 30 days. It's sort of been the hot topic, but we've seen it's just a name put to something that's been around for a long time. I think with the way the job market's been lately, it's sort of come forefront to what's happening a lot more frequently. People are unhappy where they're at for a variety of reasons, and usually it's stress. When we talk about healthcare, there's a massive shortage of doctors and nurses and techs, and what ends up happening is now those additional responsibilities are thrown on people because there's not enough staffing for it. And again, when you think about that, the more stressed you are, the less you're able to cope with the stresses of the job, and especially when people are angry, Um, and I think that's something that we can talk about here is how when you exercise, you're helping your mental health, you're helping your attitude, your behavior, and that imparts how you'll come across other people, and that will help in dealing with angry people for the most part. Would you agree with me on that, Craig?
Absolutely. I think that a lot of people, I don't think we take stress as serious as it is. I think people hear the word stress and it's just another word to them. But through exercise, diet, and nutrition, you are reducing your stress levels. So for sure, fitness is going to help you with your stress levels.
Yeah, and it's funny. I was reading. I'm going to look at the statistic I got up on my screen on here. The study shows that there was let's see, where is it? I lost it right now. Okay, so like 40% of the people that do exercise say that they skip exercise. It's the first thing they skip when they're stressed out, and I was blown away by that, and I thought it's the opposite. Right? When you're more stressed, that's when you should go, even if it's just going for a walk. Wouldn't you agree? Just a simple walk is
Anything. Yeah. It's just a simple walk, a ride on the bike, a little jog. It doesn't have to be anything intense. And it's really just to clear your mind. I mean, that's what it comes down to. When you're exercising, you kind of zone out and you kind of bringing your mind back to that center is what we need to do when we're stressed. Because when we're stressing, our mind's just all over the place. So any kind of fitness, like you said, walking, riding a bike, anything just to get your body moving and to reduce that stress will help.
Yeah, it's funny because we were talking before we went on air here, and I was telling him that when my throughout my day, I'll end up just getting up and doing push-ups because I'll feel my shoulders start to get tight, my back starts to get tight, my neck, and I start to almost get a headache. And, I just knock out 40 push-ups. Takes me seconds to do them,
Hmm.
and I feel great afterwards. I mean, like my brain, you can feel like your head clears from things,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
it's just it's always amazing, how little it really takes to do that. Um, and so let's talk about, some of the things that people can do. Um, like I said, I do push-ups, but are there easy see, everyone, I think, makes excuses about working out, right? I don't have the equipment. I don't have the clothes. I don't have this. I can't go run a mile during work, right? I mean, I know you've heard all of them. I probably even
Oh,
threw a couple at you, my back, right? But like we all make excuses for it. But I mean, it's really not that hot. I mean, we're making it more complicated than it has to be, correct?
absolutely. I agree with you 100%. We make it way more complicated than it has to be. I tell a lot of my clients, set your watch every 20 minutes. Just stand up, walk around your desk. That's all it takes. You have to break the monotony of sitting on your desk all day on the computer, staring at that screen without getting up and taking some kind of break. We all can take 2 minutes out of our day and just stand up every 20 minutes, take 2 minutes, stand up, walk around your desk. We do push-ups, great. If you go walk around your building, if you're in a building, great. Do something to keep your body moving and to keep your mind going. Because when you're sitting behind that computer screen or sitting at a desk all day, that's the stress. That's where the stress is coming from. You're sitting there all day and that stress is building up.
Yeah, and it's funny because, you think about a lot of office space, especially like hospitals. What kind
Yeah.
of lights do they all have? They have all the fluorescent lights, that white light.
Yeah.
That is not good for your mental aspect. I mean, it helps brighten everything up, and you can see. But I'll tell you, there's nothing like getting outside or looking
Fresh.
out a window, even just standing up and going to look out a window, looking outside for a minute, stretching.
Yeah.
Those walks outside are really important.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah, I mean, I was thinking about, because I'm in my office. I have no windows in my office. I have an interior office, and it's all fluorescent light, and it drives me crazy. So I'll
I
just
was
get
just
up and
about to say that. I was about to say that alone will drive you crazy. Office with no windows, and it's just like and when you walk out, you feel it. Like you feel the fresh air, you feel the sunlight, and it's like, oh man, I've been stuck in this spot all day. So absolutely, I agree with you 100%. You have to get up and do something. And like I said, I like to set the timer on a watch every 20, 30 minutes whenever I can, just to break the monotony.
Yeah, even the Apple Watch has a timer built into it, and it says time to stand. Like
Yep.
that's what I use. It reminds me. I'm like, I am always amazed, right? Like I'll be working, I won't even realize how much time has gone by, and also my
Sure.
phone, my watch goes off. I'm like, all right, I got to stand up, and I do, and I'll stand up for a minute, and I'm like, it's such a simple thing, but then I sit back down, and I'm all of a sudden I'm refocused again. It's
Right.
amazing what it does, and when we're looking at like very high stress environments like nursing, really anything, but when you're looking at that where you have all these stressors coming at you, that ability to take a moment for yourself, and just kind of reset yourself, I think that really plays into how you're going to respond to someone else who maybe isn't in that great mental state. Like I said, we're dealing with everyone. Everyone these days seems to want everything now, right? Like we're
Right.
always looking for that immediate satisfaction. And it only compounds itself when you're in a hospital setting because you're sick or your loved one's sick,
Sure.
and they're short staffed. So guess what? Now you're waiting an hour on average, in an ER just to get in. And, you know, just the stress levels they're feeling. And then if you're stressed, I mean, that's where a lot of these, patient attacks come from. These people are sick, they're upset, they're stressed, and the same is going on the other side with the caretakers. They don't have the ability to provide like they really want to provide. It's not that they don't want to do it; it's that they're being, when you're talking about, so in healthcare for nurses, you want to have a patient to nurse ratio, maybe 6 patients. That's really
Mhm.
what they recommend. But you're looking at like 12 and 14 patients per nurse.
Right.
Um, I mean, juggling that is just impossible. I mean, it's just absolutely impossible. I mean, think about it. If you had to do And I know you do group classes, but if it was just you in there by yourself, how hard is it when you've got that many people? You're looking at everyone, you're like trying to make sure everyone's safe. It's very hard to do that.
It is.
So
It's a lot of
yeah,
personalities you're dealing with. And when I used to
yeah,
do one-on-one personal training, it was just a lot of personalities that you have to deal with. And the thing is, you have to get your mind back to center. Like
yeah,
that's where the point of coming in, just taking a couple minutes to yourself, just to kind of center yourself back, so you can deal with those people. But you're absolutely right. You need that.
yeah. It's amazing. And I was thinking about, the other side of not just the exercise, but let's talk about food and nutrition and eating regularly. I can tell you when I was in law enforcement, and it's the fact with a lot of people in law enforcement, you don't get a lunch break. You're working 10, 12 hour shifts, and you don't get a break because that radio goes off, call comes out, you got to go. So
Right.
a lot of times you bring what you can, or it ends up being a lot of people eat fast food and they eat the things
Yeah.
that they can get right on hand. So,
Absolutely.
and
And
of course, none of that's good for you mentally. I mean, you eat that, you feel horrible afterwards,
horrible. Yeah.
no energy, and it'll spike your blood sugar, and then you drop, and then you're crashing, and
Yeah.
right? I mean, so
Yeah.
what's your opinion on like things that people can do, fitness wise, and what your experience is? Because I know that you do a lot of stuff with nutrition too. It's not like I said, you're integrative health coach. It's not just working out. It's the whole aspect of being healthy. So talk a little bit about that
Well, the
aspect of
one
it.
thing I'm going to say is that we have to plan, right? We don't plan. And if you don't plan, you're planning to fail. Because
Mhm.
if we know that we're not going to have a lunch break, or if we're on a call, we know we can't get to it, we have to have a backup plan. So whether it's a shake, a protein shake, something that we could bring with us that's easy, that we can just have the powder and add the water to. But the main thing is to have a plan in place. Like, if I can't make it here, where am I going to go to eat? Because once we start getting hungry and we haven't eaten in a while, then we want anything and everything. And we want the worst things, the high carbs, the high fat. And it's the middle of the day, you eat that, and then you're done for the day. You have no energy. Like you said, your blood sugar's up, you're dropping it back down, it's going back up. It's a roller coaster. So one of my main things would be is plan. You would never send your kids off to school without lunch, right? You never send your kids off to school without a plan for them to eat. So why would you do that to yourself? We have to start taking care of ourselves as well. We have to start thinking about number one, so we could be healthier for ourselves and for the people around us.
It's funny you said that because I always revert back to the old airline saying, when the oxygen goes out, you put your mask on yourself first before you put it on and take care of your kids. We
That's
talk
right.
about that a lot with security, is that, in a crisis situation, you might be with your family, but you got to make sure that you're able to perform to protect them. So it's
That's right.
sometimes you have to step forward to be the person to take care of yourself first so that you can help them.
Got to be a
And
little
I think that's perfectly in alignment with what you're saying nutrition wise and exercise. You've got to be ready,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And I think that the meal prep is always a very contentious, let's say, discussion people have. I personally hate it. However, guess who does it? And it's funny, what I've come to realize is that there are days when I'll, like, if I plan really well, I'll have such great meals, like, it's awesome, but I don't always have time for that. So I always have backups. Like, I have pouches of tuna that I can just
Yeah.
have like, I have like the easy things that are those quick, like today, I didn't have time to do it. I had a pack of tuna. That was my lunch, and it
Right.
was great. It was perfect. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's healthy. It's not, you know, it was no other garbage with it, and plenty of water and all that kind of stuff. But I think that again, we look at how complex it is in their mind, and in reality,
That's it.
it's pretty simple.
Yeah, and that's what I was
Go
gonna
back.
say when you said, healthy. I think people get in that their mindset every time I say healthy. "Oh, I can't eat a salad and chicken all day." Well, it doesn't have to be a salad and chicken all day. There's so many more options. If you just look and if you search, you're going to find the option. It doesn't have to be salad all day. It doesn't have to be chicken and salad. The number one thing is portion control. You can eat a lot and just make sure you're having portion control. When we eat out at restaurants, we're eating like double, triple the servings of an actual serving serving size. So that's the one thing that we need to work on. And the other thing is going to be just get out of the mentality of everything has to be healthy, salad and this and that. Just start slow and work your way up. Everybody wants to go 100, they want to start a meal plan and go out 100%. And it's starting with one meal. Let's start with breakfast. Let's work on breakfast first, and then let's add lunch. But we start at 100, and by the end of the week, we're done. We're back to where we started.
Yeah, I was exactly what I was just thinking when you said that. I thought, everyone does that. Everyone's like, all right, that's it. Today I'm starting, and this is how it's going to be, and I'm gonna crush it. I'm gonna do this, and like day 3, they're like, this sucks.
What?
I
What?
want my whatever.
Yeah,
And then of course the other part of it is when they slip off of their path of eating healthy, they're like, well, screw it. I might as well it's
we're
over.
done. It's
And
either 100 or nothing. That's the thing.
yeah. And it's funny because like when I'm trying to cut weight, legitimately, I will pick a day of the week where I can have a meal of anything that I want. Not a day. I don't do cheat days, but I'll do a cheat meal.
That's
And I'll
correct.
be like, I'm gonna eat pizza.
Right,
I don't care. And I don't feel guilty about it.
right.
And what's funny is that one meal is great, but it's not as great as it used to be.
Yeah,
Right? I still enjoy it and I still will do it. But first of all, the peace of mind that I have to go, all right, I can have something and I don't feel
that's
so
the thing.
pressured.
Right,
Or I might just be like, I might come home and say, you know what? I was going to plan on eating anything I want, that meal on Saturday. It's going to be today.
right.
And I don't mind it. And I just swap the day out. And all that pressure of having to like maintain something that is hard to do. It's especially when you're building a new habit. It's very hard to do. Um, I find it so much easier when you just you allow yourself to fail at it, allow yourself to have those slip ups. It's a process because you're really trying to change, right? You're trying to change your whole aspect and attitude towards eating or exercise as well, right?
Right. And that's the key word, habit. You're not breaking this habit in 3 days. It didn't take you 3 days to get to this habit, right? So it's not going to take us 3 days to break it. So we have to start slow. And like you said, with the cheat meal, that's just helping us, our sanity. Some of us don't even want it. Some people just eat it just to eat it because they feel they have to eat it. So, start slow. Water is the key. Start with making sure you have your water. Once you get that going, then you start with breakfast. You start slow and just start adding things. And that way you're not putting so much pressure on yourself. And by the end of the week, the weekend comes and you're just ready to eat everything and just give up on everything. And I'll start again on Monday. Monday never comes. Tomorrow never comes. Start right now. You got to do something right here, right now. That's it.
Yeah, there's always some celebration or some
That's
reason
my
for not
thing.
doing something,
Yeah.
and it's like just start. I mean, it seems so daunting to people, and like I said, like we were saying, it's not as complex as everyone thinks. And I think you had a great idea. Is just start with just a meal. Like I'm going to start my breakfasts off right, which I think is for me. If I have a good breakfast, the
Such a
rest of the
big.
day, I mean, it really
Yeah.
for me. Now, some people don't like to eat breakfast.
Yeah.
We can get a whole topic
Yeah.
about
That's a
the
whole different
merits of it.
story. Yeah. Yeah.
For me, if I eat a healthy breakfast, I just feel better the rest of the day. I just feel great,
And that's mentally too, though.
Yeah,
Not only physically, but mentally, you're setting yourself up for the whole day. Once you have that good breakfast, you wake up, you drink your water, you have your breakfast. Now you're setting yourself up for success for the whole day. So that's
yeah,
why I always help people start with their breakfast first, and then from there, their day seems to kind of flow. And then also, it's going to help you during the day as far as wanting snacks and things like that. It kind of helps curb that appetite during the day when you have that breakfast.
yeah. And I guess the other consideration is that not everyone has regular 9 to 5. A lot of people working shift work, and
Yeah,
that does add a new challenge to it. And I think
it does.
it
It definitely.
almost is another whole reason why you should meal prep
Yeah.
because first of all, there's not a lot of places open. The places that are open are not places you should be eating at.
Right.
Fast
No,
food
you're
or
right. And I have a lot of clients like that. They have their shifts are just not the normal 9 to 5s. So it is a difficult thing. And you're right. Food prepping is where that's going to come in.
yeah. When I started in law enforcement, I worked the midnight shift for I think about a year or so into it. I went about almost a full year working midnight shift, and then the rest of my career I never worked it again, up until about 6 months of my last year.
Oh,
I ended up on the midnight shift. And let me tell you something. It was the worst experience. I just kept thinking, how do people live doing this? Oh my God. But my eating was so challenging
Yeah,
because the access, like, for me, I could have just, like, when you work during the day, I can go to Publix and I can buy a pre-made salad. I can buy fruit. I could like you have options to get healthy food. There's options out there if you don't bring anything.
right.
But at night, there's nothing. And I struggled, and I don't like any I don't eat fast food. I don't eat it at Denny's, or not to knock that, but I know people like those places. I
Right.
don't.
Yeah.
Um, but so I really was stuck with, sir. There was nights I would, like, I'm just not eating, and I would, which is horrible for you.
Of
When
course.
your body's already hit with that not having a good sleep cycle. Um, it was a challenge. So I think that probably makes a better argument for the meal prep and for the exercise, right?
For sure. Yeah, because you're changing your whole body's chemistry, right? Your body's not used to staying up like that. It's not made for that, right? And you're going at 12 o'clock midnight and working through the night. You're not built for that. So yeah, absolutely. I would say you have to get the food prep in. You have that's even more reason to really get the food prep in and eating having a better diet.
Yeah. And I think that was the other hard part was getting exercise in on those shifts. There were nights that I just couldn't. We had a gym. We had a real nice private gym we had, and all the equipment you want. It's everything was just about everything was there, um, except for a ski erg, which I was so glad. I
You
hate the
gotta get
ski erg, just so you know.
you gotta get scared in.
But I,
Everybody
I would
knows.
I would walk into that gym. I'm like, I just can't do it. And so I would walk around the building. I would at least be moving. I would just, or I'd walk either inside or walk up and down the staircase several times, just to get the blood flowing, because that's all I could really get moving. Um, so I think you'll probably agree something's better than nothing, right? When you can't really dedicate it.
And that's the other thing, like you were saying, just do something. Like you were saying earlier, we make all these excuses, and it doesn't have to be that serious. Staircases, walking around the building, standing up from your desk, so many different things that you can do. It's what we have to do. We have to stop making excuses.
Yeah, and there's another statistic here. 62% of the people who exercise says that it helps them manage stress. And it actually even goes up higher for millennials and younger. It's
Oh,
up to
for sure.
72% or something like that. Which I'll be honest, I was surprised when I read that, because I thought my generation was the best, but they they, they apparently, I think they do better at addressing stress. I think when I grew up, it was like almost a badge of honor to say, "Oh, I got a stressful job, and this is what I do."
Yes,
And
yes.
now,
It's
there's more
acknowledged.
people realizing, saying that, that's not the way to live. And it's
No.
funny because we used to look at a lot of the millennials, incorrectly. I would look at them and say, "Hey, we need overtime." No one wanted to do it. Nope, nope, can't do it. I'm like, I would jump at overtime when I was a kid, their age, younger.
Right, right, right.
And I started to realize, I'm like, wait a second, they're valuing their personal time over
That's
work.
right.
I'm like,
Yeah.
they're actually smarter than we are.
Yeah. And it is true. You're right. I just used to think the same thing. I look at them, but they have it a lot. They have the meditation now. They're really taking care of their bodies, and they're watching what they put into so they do. They're on point.
Yeah, it's funny how you don't realize some things until you really look at it and you start thinking about it and get
Yep.
that personal perspective going. You open yourself up and go, I think I was the one that was wrong in that one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Because I was always told, oh, the younger generation, they're lazy, they're lazy, they're lazy, and I'm like, yeah, they're lazy, and then I'm like, no, they're smarter.
Yeah, they're taking care of
They might
themselves.
have figured something out that we didn't figure out. They might not drop dead of a heart attack a lot younger than ours will probably be doing.
Yeah, yeah.
you know um so when we're looking at, you mentioned meditation. Do you incorporate a lot of that into the stuff that you teach your clients about taking time do you go over that kind of stuff?
So I go over it if they're open to it.
Okay.
I found meditation to me when a lot of people, they hear the word meditation and it's this woo woo thing, or meditation isn't for me. And I try to explain to people that there's so many different types of meditation, and when you really think about it, meditation is just being still. Like if you could just be quiet, just disconnect for 5 minutes, And that's meditation. People think you have to cross your legs, you have to put your hands up, you have to light a candle. They think all this stuff when it comes to meditation. And then people say to me, well, Craig, when I sit down, my thoughts don't stop. I said, well, that's the point of meditation. You're trying to calm that brain down, and you're trying to, center yourself. And that's what it's about. You can't stop your brain from stopping to think. It's not going to happen. But we want to organize those thoughts and make them calm down. And it takes practice. Meditation is like exercise. The more you do it, the better you get, the stronger you get. So I love meditation. It's changed my life. But as far as my clients go, if they're open to it and they ask me about it, then absolutely I will teach them that, because I think it is a game changer when it comes to reducing stress.
Yeah, I've personally done it for years. I mean, really, probably 10 plus years now.
Yeah.
Not every day. I don't do it. I used to do it a lot.
Right.
I don't do it nearly as much as I probably should. But the one thing that I learned is that there's Buddhism. It's one of the things associated with meditation, and they'll tell you it could take a lifetime to get to the point where you have that stillness,
That's
where that
correct.
mind is not going a mile a minute. And I always laugh, because when I think about meditation, I think the perfect example of meditation is that old NFL commercial where the referee is just standing there while the coaches are screaming at him about a bad call, and he's just staring off. And they're like, I don't know how he did that. I don't know where he got this training. That guy is great. And they go home, and his wife is screaming at him, and he's just like staring,
Yep.
like he's just zoned out. And
Zoned out.
it's the ability to just like to knock off that noise. And that's the point of that is that you're going to have all these thoughts. You're going to have all this stress, and oh my God, I got so much work to do. And and I've got all these pressures. Understanding that that's normal to have those thoughts, trying
Yes.
to just let them come in your head and then leave. Just
Let them
don't even
go.
focus
Don't.
on it. It comes in and comes
Right.
out. It's gonna keep coming back, and you just kind of like, okay, yeah, I
You
know.
just acknowledge them. You don't hold on to them.
Yep.
Like you mentioned with the Buddha, it's monkey mind, right? Your
Yep.
brain is a monkey. It's just jumping all over. And the first few times you're going to do it, you just have to it's practice. It's practice. You're not going to sit down day one, week one, month one. It took me a long time to get into it and just be like, oh, okay, I'm meditating. No, it's practice. It's like anything else. You have to practice in order to get better.
Yeah, and the other thing is that they think you have said it, like light a candle. It's not that. I mean, there's walking meditation. There's
And there
walking meditation.
is things like that, but there's so many methods of meditation that
Yes.
I've went through so many different meditations until I found one that fit me. And there's
Yep.
something out there for everybody. You just have
Yep.
to experiment. And once you find what works for you, you'll find it's going to change your life.
Yeah, it's and it does. I know for me, like when I'm done, and even if it's just a 5 minute even if I just do for 5 minutes,
Yes.
I now it's easier for me to deal with stuff. Like it's just and in these high stress jobs, I think having that, which is why I got into it I had a very stressful position for many years, and a lot of times I would just like I'd sit in my office, I'd close my doors, and I just like breathe. And for me, it was always just focus on my breathing, breathe in,
That's
breathe
it.
out. That's all I kept repeating was breathe in, breathe out. And then all these thoughts just started disappearing. And after a few minutes, okay, now I feel like I can get it, because when you're in that stress and things are coming at you, you're very reactive, and you're
You're
like, it's like a
very
fight.
reactive. Yes.
And that's why, like I said, when we're talking about workplace violence, when you're in that high stress and that high demand kind of situation, and you're not able to regulate yourself, how are you going to de-escalate someone who's going through crisis? You're not going to be able to. So
You said it though. Like you said, once you come back to that space and you're present, you're able to be aware of the thoughts that are coming. You're able to control your anger or whatever it is you're going through, where you can kind of sit back and go, okay, let me reset here. And once you reset, now you're going to handle situations a little bit different. So absolutely, you have to, and that's at the workplace. You got to take those few minutes, and that's why exercise comes into it, because you can meditate while you're walking, and it's just all it is being silent. Walk around the building, no distractions, leave your phone away, 5 minutes, walk around, stand up, whatever you got to do. Just get quiet for a few minutes. And that's all it takes.
yeah, and it's hard. It's hard to sometimes get away from where you're at, but there's
True.
still ways to do it.
True.
You can put headphones on and just listen to music,
That's
right?
it. That's it.
You can just you have to take time to say, all right,
Disconnect.
I'm going to put everything out for even 5 minutes. I'm going to
That's
regain
it.
myself, and then I'm going to go hit it again. Because when your stress is high, your limbic system, your midbrain starts to take over. That's that dinosaur brain where everything is a threat. So when
Automatic.
someone's coming at you, you're like, all right, let's go.
Yep.
And you're not regulating yourself. And
Fight
to
or
bring
flight.
yourself out of that, you bring yourself out, you start thinking, all right, breathe. All right, listen, they're stressed, not about me. They're just
That's right.
stressed. I'd probably feel the same way. How can I help them? And you
That's right.
focus that, and you're able to start getting things done. And it's I think we're probably making it sound very easy, and in some ways it is, but it's also hard to learn how to
Yes.
start doing that. And I think the like I said, the first, was it the saying, the first taking a journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step kind of thing.
First step.
It
Yeah.
seems daunting, but if you break it down into something manageable, again, we talked about it with eating. Start
Hmm.
with breakfast. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Just take a few minutes. Find a way to incorporate 5 minutes out of your day and say, I'm gonna dedicate this to myself. I'm gonna go sit in my car. I'm gonna go in a broom closet. I'm gonna lock myself away from everybody. 5 minutes. I'm gonna breathe, relax, look at pictures on your phone, whatever. I wouldn't look at social media only because it
And
can be
that's true.
stressful these days.
And the thing I was going to say too, I was going to say, even if when you wake up, as soon as you wake up, just before you go to your social media, before you go to your phone, just sit there for 5 minutes with yourself. As soon as you wake up, don't do anything with the dog, your wife, your husband, whatever the case is. Just take 5 minutes to yourself. The kids, nothing. Just 5 minutes. As soon as you wake up out of bed, that even helps. Just to kind of come to your senses and be aware and have everything in the present moment, for
Yeah,
sure. And like you
that
said,
and
it starts with a goal.
I do exactly that. I wake up, my alarm goes off. Well, sometimes I wake up without it, which is like today. Woke up at 5, wide awake, and my mind was just running, and I'm like, just stop. It's 5 a.m. Just
Yeah, yeah.
breathe. I'm like, all right, well, I woke up. That's a good sign. It's a good way to start the day. I'm awake. So I'm like, all right, feel pretty good. And I just started like thinking about it. I'm like, all right, today's gonna be a good day. I got some stuff going
Yeah,
on, but I got it. And it just, it takes that second. But if I were to go on my phone just for a sec, I'd be hit with the emails, probably text messages. And like I said, God forbid I go on to any social media and see
oh man,
something that doesn't agree with me, because everything is on there that someone's not going to agree with. So
yeah.
that stress is going to build. That's not any
You
way to
don't want
start
to
your
start
day.
your day like that. You don't
It's a
want to start.
horrible way. It's funny. I have cut out social media from, and the news. Honestly, I cut out so much of that from my life, um, just enough to know what's going on, but not enough to
Media,
get wrapped up into it.
yeah.
It's
Media.
it's
You
just
gotta
too much.
media drive you crazy. Any kind of media, social
Yeah,
media, the news, any kind of media. You have to. I stay away from it completely. I really do. I try my best to stay off of social media, and I'm not knocking it. People. I'm not knocking it at all. But for me, if I get caught, I've been on social media before, and you get caught. You're strolling, and you're like, 30 minutes goes by. You're like, wait a minute, what just happened? What just
yeah,
happened?
yeah.
And I'm like, "Nah, this isn't for
It's
me, man.
bad.
I can't
It
do
gets really bad, and you start looking at it, and it's again, and God forbid there's something that you're passionate about that makes you angry, and you're like, oh, that's it. And then you're like, and you're mad at a computer screen and somebody on the other end that has a different opinion, and so what? So they have a different opinion,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you end up seeing everyone else's comments. You're like, oh yeah, he's right. No, you're.
yeah, yeah. I,
And it's
I I got
stress.
caught up in that, and I said, you know what? That's when I said social media is just not for me, because I will be on there from. Whew, I caught myself one time. I'm like, man, I was like 30 minutes. I didn't even realize, just going through and reading people's stuff and looking at pictures and this and that. I'm like, nah, I can't even. I can't do it. I can't.
It's funny. I go on in the morning when I get here. I'll go on like LinkedIn and
Right,
and I'll go on a couple of the other ones. If I'm on for more than 15 minutes in the morning and maybe 10 minutes at night,
right.
and I feel good about that. I feel, and the things. What's funny is that the stuff that I always gravitate towards are the things that I always think that social media, feel good stories,
Yeah,
people that do
and
really
there's
cool
a lot more of that
things.
coming out too.
There's a lot of really good stuff where there's people doing the right thing. Um, so I like seeing those kind of things. I like seeing the stuff, animals. I like seeing the fitness stuff. Um, a lot of nutrition stuff on there. I skip right by that because
Of course you do.
But no, but like I hate watching cooking stuff, but you see how people are doing it and you get ideas for, so there's merit to it. But I
For
think,
sure.
I
For
think
sure.
that when you're working, you know, in those environments where it is high stress, to go on social media might not be the right thing to do.
Yeah.
It might be the wrong thing to do.
Because that
And
just
when I said
adds,
look at
that's going to
pictures,
just add to your stress. That's just
yeah,
going to add
look
to
at
what's
pictures of your
going on.
family, look at your pets, text a friend that's not in the job, just hey, just checking on you, and
Can't we
on
just talk
top of
to a
that,
friend? We don't talk anymore. Can't we talk to friends? We don't talk. It's, everything is text. Can't we get face to face and talk to people anymore?
that's a whole nother, you're going on a whole nother topic about how we've lost the ability to have a conversation.
Yeah.
And which really is another aspect of the problems that we have with workplace violence. We have people that don't know how to communicate,
Right. Yeah.
because they're so busy. And then when you see that, you think, the people don't look you in the eyes. They don't talk, like they're looking down when they look at you, and you're like, no, look me in the. So some people get offended by that, but we've lost that ability. We've lost that ability to have that conversation, and that definitely adds to it. But I was going to say, if you have friends or family that are in these high stress positions, check in on them. Call them,
Yes.
text them. A lot of times you can't answer your phone. That's why I said text is, hey man, hope everything's going good. Let me know if you need anything. Just sometimes I know that when I got those, like my wife would text me during a shift or whatever, I'm like, oh hey, it again pulls me out of my job for a second, out of that whatever stressful environment is, and that's it. It's sometimes that's all it takes. So,
Yeah.
you know, I think we've lost that um, skill to look out for each other,
Yeah.
which
For sure.
I think it's starting to change. I'm starting to see some change in that. We got
Yeah.
got quite a long way to go,
Got a long
but
way to go.
I think we're starting to get there, and but that's why, like I said, finding a place where you that's outside of your work. Like I go to F45. It's one of the places. I also go to bars. No, I'm just kidding. But no, but like you go somewhere where you feel good, where you can just kind of like get the stress out, and you can see people and that are outside of your normal circle of people that like your work people. In law enforcement, everyone kind of, we're sort of that tight group, and same thing with firefighters and paramedics
Yeah.
and nurses. We all kind of gravitate because no one really understands what you're going through, what the stresses are. So it's hard to relate sometimes to people like that. And I think having friends outside of those components of your job are really, really critical to managing, how you navigate through society.
And that's one
And
of our strong points with F45. That's
yeah,
one of the things that I really try to drive home, is make that a community where everybody is just, it's love in our gym. You know how it is.
yeah,
That's what I like. And that's what I try to build our community on, for sure.
yeah. I love how you're mean to me while you make me lift heavy weights. No, no,
It's all love. Dean. It's all love, man.
it really is. I mean, so he knows. I always like stare him down. He's just laughing at me. We have a good time, but that's part of it, and that's what I think everyone that's have these high stress jobs. Really, anybody. It's not just high stress jobs, but when you're looking at a situation where you are forced to do things you don't always want to do. That quiet quitting. I totally get that. I think everyone goes through that at some point. It's really getting bad right now, but you know, instead of just being miserable at your job, make sure you're taking care of yourself too. And that's
Mhm.
definitely about the nutrition. It's about the exercise. It's about, unplugging from social media. And you're right. Can't we just talk to anybody? I mean, just having a conversation one on one with somebody, um, that's value. I mean, that's value. I try to talk to everybody I can that I don't even know.
Yeah.
Like I've got a trip coming up and going to Atlanta for a conference, and like I'm looking forward to talking to people on the plane. I'm looking forward to like just because you never know who you're going to meet. You're going to meet some pretty
Never
interesting
know.
people, and
Yeah.
it's opportunity. It's you get to see different perspectives. And that's again what I like about F45 is that it's so many different people, different backgrounds, um, and everyone's there on for the same reason.
Same reason. Everybody leaves everything at the door when they come in that gym,
You're
and
there for a reason,
it's
and
all
everyone's
love,
the same.
nothing else. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's a really cool thing to do, and I think there's a lot of places that people can go to for that.
For
I
sure.
mean, that's why I think a lot of people go to whatever religion they're part of. They go to church or temples, all that stuff. I think they go there because they're looking for that community aspect of it, where they can kind of congregate and just sort of find something else that to distract them a little bit and enforce what they believe in and things like that.
Absolutely.
I think it's pretty invaluable, you know. Um, so I'm trying to think of what else I want to. I feel like there's 100 things I want to talk about. We kind of talked about so many so fast. So I'm just looking at my notes. We've got food prep. We've gone over. Um, when we're talking about nutrition, this is something that I think we should look at. So we talked about having water, which is huge.
Mhm.
Um, there's been all kinds of arguments about how much water a person should have a day and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
I'm about a gallon a day.
Mhm.
I have done 2 gallons a day, which was not good for me. That was because you end up depleting your body of a lot of electrolytes. I mean, like it's actually not as beneficial when you get to a certain point.
Right.
So you got to balance out with other things. Would you, is what is your thoughts on how much water should you have, per person? Does it vary? What's your thoughts? I don't think I ever asked you anything like
Ver-
that.
Very simple. Half your body weight in ounces of water. Take your body weight, cut it in half. That's how many ounces minimum you should have per day.
Okay,
Simple.
it's supposed to be more complex than that. Looking for some formula. Like, that's pretty simple.
But see, and this is part of the problem. We overthink so many things, and it's not. It's so simple. I mean, half your body weight, cut it in half. That's the minimum you should have per day in ounces, and you're good. If you're drinking a gallon, that's more than enough. You're good.
Okay. And what about, so now we'll talk a little bit more on nutrition. So there's a lot of diets out there, a lot of, you got paleo, keto,
Yeah.
God only knows all the other stuff that goes on there.
Yeah.
Um, I know you're a vegetarian, right? I think that's
No, no,
no,
I'm not.
no.
No, I eat
You
meat.
eat a lot of plant stuff though. I see
I
it.
do eat a
See
lot of
where,
plant stuff. Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Okay. So yeah, I'm a little more proteiny. I like the meats and the fishes and the chickens. But so talk about, like how do you balance the how much protein you have? I know it does vary by person. Are we making it too complex? Are we making it too,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. So every diet works. It just doesn't work for you. It has to fit in your lifestyle. That's it. So if something that you're doing paleo or keto, plant based, if that's something you enjoy and it's working for you, then that's the diet for you. Otherwise, I'm about portion control. A lot of people like doing macro counting. I have no problem with any of that. But then some people want to do macro counting and they're stressed. So why are you going to do something that's stressing you out? It's not for you. So let's just work on portion control. We could do portion control with our hand. We can have protein the size of our palm. A fist is carbs. Our thumb is our fat. We can make everything so simple, but for some reason we choose to make things so more difficult than it has to be. So any diet works. Every diet works, I should say. It's the matter if it does it fit into your lifestyle and does it work for you.
yeah, and that's what one of the points I was trying to get to was that, because I know the whole hand thing. That when I learned that, I was like, that's so easy, because there were times when I was counting everything, and I
And
was
there's nothing
stressed,
wrong
man.
with that. There's
I
nothing. I
was
do
like, well, it
mac-
wasn't for me. It wasn't
yeah,
for me because
exactly.
I was stressed about it. I was like, oh man, I didn't get enough protein like I was so focused on, like, oh man, I got to get, and it just, again, if it's too hard or too stressful, it's out the door,
You got it.
and just
That's
like
it.
just like the statistic says, that a lot of people, was 40% of the people, that first thing they drop is exercise when they're stressed out. It's the same thing when something is a stressful event, you're not going to stick with it.
Well, the
So
thing with exercise too is what they do is they want to work out 7 days a week. So they haven't worked out in 6 months or never worked out before, and they get this plan on Monday. I'm going to work out, and they go and they can't walk for the first week, and then they're like, "This is not for me." I'm like, "Well, your first week, you don't want to work out 7 days. Give it 2 days, maybe three. The body has to recover. When we're losing weight, when our stress, it's coming when we're resting. It's
yeah.
not when we're in the gym. It's when the body's in recovery. That's when we're doing our best work, is rest and recover, not 7 days a week, twice a days, and all this stuff. I'm like, man.
Well, it's funny because when I started with that 45, I was hitting 5. A couple times I went 6 days a week, and I was like, and I loved it. I was having fun, but those fifth days, I was like, man, I'm just not able to do it. And I finally asked him, like, how often should I do? You're like, 3 days, you 3 days on and take a day off, then 2 days, like,
That's
which
right.
is for the most part my schedule. I'm doing 4 days a week now, just because my work doesn't, allow me sometimes to get in there.
And you could
But like,
still do those many days, but you just have to get that break in between. Like if I'm doing 3 days in a row, I have to take that fourth day for a break, and then I can
yep,
pick right back up. But
yeah,
you have to give your body time to rest and recover, and that's what a lot of us aren't doing.
yeah. And I definitely, and of course, and if you push yourself like that, like you're saying, you're going to get injured,
Stress
and
too.
you get injured, then guess what? Now I'm not going to do it. And when you stop working out, guess what also leaves? Your
Stress,
nutrition.
stress starts coming too. You
Stress
start
comes up. You start
on the
eating.
body. Yeah, it's a cycle. Like listen, like been talking about the whole conversation. We overcomplicate. It's not that complicated. It really isn't. It's really not that complicated.
Yeah. And it's again, if you don't know a lot about my business, but the truth is, one of the things I always advocate for is keeping things simple.
Yeah.
Because when you have a big complex problem, like, how do you solve active shooters, how do you solve,
Mm,
it's not as complex as people think, but
right.
it's so emotional. It
That's right.
gets so emotional that you're not thinking rationally, and you're grasping at anything that might
Everything.
work,
Yeah.
and you're
Yeah.
not looking at the statistics. You're not looking at the data or real life experiences of people like I've been through, to say, no, this is why that won't work. This is where we need to go.
Right.
But if you keep it simple, you'll find that, number one, it's less stressful, it's easier, and it's more effective overall.
Yeah.
So perfect. All right. I think we probably covered almost everything that we could have talked about. Is there anything that we didn't that you would like to cover? Oh, where do we go? There we
No,
go.
I think we covered everything. Like I said, I'm glad we covered a little bit of the mental health part, and
Yep.
but the fitness and nutrition, absolutely, it's part. We got to make it part of our lives. We got to take care of our bodies. We only get one body, right? Well, we can replace our car, we can replace our homes, we could replace our clothes, but when it comes to our body, we have to start taking better care of our body. We have to be more aware of our body and what we're doing and putting it into our body.
Yeah, especially when you're younger, because the abuse you put your body through when you're young is going to come out as you're older.
For
I
sure.
can tell
I
you,
can.
I have all kinds of back injuries, as you know, and it was all from stupid things that I did,
I was right
because
there
I
with
was
you on
young and
one.
I'm a guy and I can handle it, and it's
Yeah.
crazy stuff. But all right, so I've got the website up here for F45 that anyone wants to get in touch with you with, they can reach out to you there. Is there any other contact information you have, or is that the best way to get in touch with you?
That's the best way to get in touch with us right there.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Craig, I appreciate it. I will probably see you tonight when I go go
Yeah.
work out.
I'll see you in an hour or two.
And I'm doing a workout tomorrow morning too. Oh, I hate just so you know, everybody, I hate the Wednesday cardio workouts.
Best workout ever.
It really is, but it's not an easy one. So, all right, everyone. Thank you, Craig. I appreciate your time.
All right, Gene. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate you.
Take care. All
All
right.
right, bud.